Good morning, students. In this video lecture, we are going to see the unit number 3 in professional ethics in engineering. Engineering as social experimentation. Before manufacturing a product or when you do any project, you need to make a lot of assumptions and trials. For example, if you want to design a washing machine, you need to do assumption. What are the assumption? What is the material, outer material, what is the drum material, what should be the principle of working, all those concepts, material, surface roughness, number of revolutions required, or capacity of motor, so VA characteristics of motor, how it will carry the load. In all those scenarios, you have to make a lot of assumptions. After doing the assumption, you are going to choose the material and you are going to manufacture the component. Then you are going to do the testing of individual product. Then you are going to make the assembly of the final product. Again, you are going to test the functional requirement of the product. If there is any mismatch available in between designed product and the final objective of the product, again you have to go to the drawing board and make the changes. So it's like a engineering project or manufacturing a product is like a doing experimentation. So until we achieve the desired result, you have to do the design and manufacturing in trial and error basis, called as engineering as experimentation. We try different materials and experiments, and from the test data obtained, we make detailed design and retest. The design as well as engineering is a iterative process. It's a repetitive process. For example, in this figure, you can clearly understand. First of all, you are going to make the design. For example, size of the object, shape of the object, color of the object, all those things will be comes a surface roughness, paint you are going to use, all those things you are going to make the design. In design stage, you are going to make lot of assumption. You don't know the what will be the outcome. Based on the assumption only, you are going to design the product. After that, you are going to fabricate the product. Fabrication means you are going to create the product. Then the individual components will be assembled together and it will undergo the physical test. In some cases, it will be go for the simulation test. For example, before manufacturing the aircraft, we are going to make the simulation test. Before manufacturing the rockets, we are going to make the simulation test. Like that, even for electrical students, you can do this a lot of simulation. So simulation is applicable to all the engineering field. So after the simulation is successful based on the assumption, if it is successful, then you are going to move for the prototype stage. After that, you are going to make the model study. Then you are going to freeze the design. That is called as final design. After the final design, you are going to manufacture that product. During the manufacture stage also, if it is failed in, the product is fails in some aspect, again they are going to do the changes in the design process. For example, some time back, the barrel of the one of the gun was burst. Because of that, again it is going back to the drawing board. Even after the manufacturing stage, it may be going to the drawing board. And after the manufacturing of the product will be sold to the some specific customers. In a group of form a group of customers. For example, around 10 products will be sold to the customer for trial purpose. That is called field study. The trial is successful, the field study is successful, and finally we are going to do the final manufacture of the product. So this so engineering is a experimentation, and it is a iterative process. Iterative process means same thing again, we are going to do it again and again. Iterative process. So what is the difference between engineering projects versus standard experiments? There are some similarities and contrasts available between engineering projects and standard experiments. So these things could be asked in MCQ questions. What are the these are the similarities in the engineering project versus standard experiments. What are the similarities between engineering projects and standard laboratory experiments? First one is partial ignorance and uncertainty, continuous monitoring, learning from the past. These are the contrasts available. Experimental control that will not be available in both the engineering and the standard experiment. In laboratory experiment, experimental control will be there, human touch will be available, informed consent will be available, knowledge also will be gained in laboratory experiment, and all those things will not be available in engineering projects. We will see one by one. Now we will see the similarities between engineering projects and laboratory experiments. The project is usually executed in partial ignorance, like in laboratory experiments. So a lot of uncertainties exist because of the assumption. Some material will be failed. After that, we are going to change the material. The material we are procuring from the different vendors. So based on the vendor, the content of the composition of the material will be differing, so that the outcome of the material test result will also be, the slight modification will be there based on the vendor supplier from which you are going to procure the material. Similarly, in the material, lot of defects may be available. Based on the defects also, the material could fail. That is also one partial ignorance, or that is uncertainty available in the material. So there will be lot of uncertainty available both in engineering experiments and laboratory experiments. There may be variations in grain structure of the material, so that material could be failed. In some cases, extrapolation, interpolation, and assumptions of linear behavior over range of parameters. So mathematically, we are going to make the assumption, and based on the accelerated testing, simulations and virtual testings will be resorted. Second one is uncertainty. The final outcome of the project will also be uncertain. So we don't know the outcome of the particular project. The project could be failed. For example, our Kaveri engine project is failed after doing 20 years of research. Similarly, the dam available in Himalayas, after the investment of around 300 crore, the entire dam project was failed because of they are not conducted the proper testing of the soil in that particular area. So the area in which the particular dam is constructed was prone to earthquake. So finally, after investing around 300 crore, that entire project was abandoned. Then unexpected risks such as undue seepage in the storage dam. After the construction of the dam, there could be a possibility of leakage of the water, or leakage, radioactive leakage in the atomic power plant, or for example pesticides in food or soft drink bottle. Sometime back you could have heard about Maggi noodles, pesticide available in the Maggi noodles. So similarly, soft drink bottle, some unwanted content may be available in excess. So that particular thing will be collapse if anything goes wrong. So this is uncertainty available in the engineering project as well as laboratory experiment. Then both engineering project and laboratory experiments require continuous monitoring during the design as well as manufacturing. Even after the product is went to the customer, you have to do the continuous monitoring to improve the performance of the product. Then learning from the past. We have to, as an engineer, you have to learn from the past failures and mistakes. So engineers normally learn from their own prior design. For example, now we are having fridge or washing machine. After 5 or 10 years, there will be a slight modification in the design of the particular machine. So we are going to continuously change the design of the product over a period of time. So we are learning from the past success as well as failures. So earlier design will be modified. So we are learning from the past. Sometimes the product fails. We are also going to learn from the past failures. But this will not occur very frequently. For example, the absence of interest and channels of communication, ego is not seeking the information, guilty upon the failure, fear of legal action. These are the causes of the failures in the particular engineering project. For example, the Titanic lacked sufficient number of lifeboats when it met with the accident. For example, around 825 boats were available. The total number of passengers was around 2,227. So the actual capacity of the ship is 3,547. That means how much boat it should have. So it has to accommodate for the entire passengers. So that is not available there. So the emergency situation, all the existing lifeboats could not be launched. So 40 years back, another steamship in Arctic met with the same tragedy due to the same reason. See, even in that case also, there was not sufficient lifeboats available to save the passengers. So as an engineer, we are not learning from the past failures and mistakes. But the lesson was learned. In most of the hydraulic systems, valves has been critical components that are reliable. The confusion of knowing whether the valve was open or closed was the cause of the 3 Mile Island accident in 1979. So the valve was actually open or closed. So the operator don't know. In critical time, because of the sudden emergency situation, with the wrong mind, he opened the particular valve. So because of that, the particular accident occurred. The similar malfunctioning of valves and misreading of gauges have been reported to have caused accidents elsewhere in some power plants. So we are not learning the lessons from the past mistakes. As an engineer, we need to learn that. For example, in olden days, fridge available. Those fridges, when you close the fridge, you cannot open the fridge from inside the fridge. You can open the fridge from outside, but you cannot open the fridge from inside. So because of that, when children playing, some other children went inside the fridge and locked the door. So after some time, when they tried to open the door from the inside, they could not open the door from the inside the fridge. Because of that, lot of fatal accidents met in that case. So as an engineer, we have learned from the past mistakes also. So nowadays, the fridges, the doors of the fridge, you can open it even from the inside the fridge also. So that is a design mistakes we learn from the past failures. So these are the contrasts between engineering experiment and laboratory experiments. In standard experiments, members of the study are selected into two groups, namely A and B. The B group is a random group. Group A are given special treatment. Group B will not be given no treatment. That group will be called as controlled group. But they are placed in the same environment similar to the group A. So this is called as experimental control. So in laboratory experiment, experimental control will be available. So this experimental control will not be available in engineering experiments because we are going to experiment with the product. We are going to experiment with the customers. So we cannot we cannot have the control over the final product. We cannot have the control over the customers. So it is not possible in engineering experiment. So normally we will check the product by random sampling. Suppose 10,000 number of components available means in a random lot we will go and pick around 10 to 50 number of components. We will do the testing. If it is okay means entire 10,000 number of products will be okay. That is called as random sampling test we are going to conduct. Then second one is as an engineer we do not have the human touch in doing all our experiments. The product we are manufacturing do not have the human touch. So engineering experiments involve human souls, their needs, views, expectation and creative use in case of social experimentation. So nowadays that sense is changing. Even in engineering experiments we are somehow incorporating human touch nowadays. To some extent it is possible nowadays, but it's not fully possible in engineering experiments. Then third contrast between engineering and laboratory or social experiments is informed consent. Engineering experimentation is viewed as a social experiment since the product is ultimately going to use by the human beings. So engineering experiment will be considered as social experiment. In this respect, it is similar to the medical experimentation on human beings. So in medical field, they will have the informed consent. In the case of medical practice, the moral rights and the legal rights have been recognized while planning for experimentation. So what are the outcome of the experiment? Everything will be foretold to the particular volunteer. For example, for corona we are doing research for vaccination. Some people are voluntarily coming forward and they are going to inject the corona virus into their body. So they are taking the risk. They are taking the fully risk for doing the particular research. So you have to inform what are the risks available in the particular experiment. All those things should be clearly explained to the volunteer. The volunteer should be adult. If the volunteer is child means you have to get the approval from the guardian, or you have to get the written letter with the signature from the particular child. So the volunteer should be mentally stable. That is also one criteria given for doing the experimentation. So the informed consent has two basic elements. First one is knowledge. The particular volunteer should be given all relevant information needed to make the decision to participate. Second one is voluntariness. They have to come forward without the force or fraud. We should not have any fraud or deception. For a valid consent, the following conditions to be fulfilled. The consent, that is the agreement, must be voluntary. All relevant information shall be presented or stated in a clearly and understandable form. The consenter shall be capable of processing the information and make rational decision. The subject consent may be offered in proxy by a group that represents many subjects or like interests. some group of people may also come forward for giving the approval of one particular individual. So in the case of suppose the volunteer is a child, means you have to get the agreement from the child. Then knowledge gained in laboratory experiments, we will gain the immense knowledge when you do the scientific experiments. But in engineering experiment, we are not going to gain any major scientific knowledge. Just we are going to verify the design, whether the product is suitable for functional requirement. Those design parameters only will be checked. So prepare for the unexpected outcomes in the actual field environment. So if the accident occur, what will happen? All those parameters will be tested. For example, before launching a new car, the accident test will be carried out. So if the car met with the accident, what will be the outcome? What will be the damage? That we will assess before launching the car. So in engineering experiment, knowledge gained will be very less. In scientific experiments, knowledge gained will be very high. From the models tested in the laboratory to the pilot plant tested in the field, there are differences in performance as well as other outcomes. Engineers as responsible experimenters. Although engineers facilitate experiments, they are not alone in the field. Their responsibility is shared with the organizations, the people, government and others. So no doubt engineers share greater responsibility while monitoring the project. If anything goes wrong, particular project engineer will be answerable. They are the accountable person. So as an engineer, you should be accountable to your organization as well as to the government as well as to the society. Identifying the risk and informing the clients. If any risk available, you have to immediately inform to the either to the society or to the government or to the organization. Based on this, they can able to take the corrective measures. The engineer as an experimenter owes several responsibilities to the society, namely conscientious commitment to live by moral values. So you should have the commitment to the moral value. At any situation, you need to behave in a moral and ethical way. So you should have your own commitment. Then a comprehensive perspective on relevant information. Comprehensive perspective means what are all the activities that relevant to the product is going on in the entire organization. All those things you have to know. It includes constant awareness of the progress of the experiment and readiness to monitor the side effects, if any. That is called as autonomy, moral autonomy. You should have the overall perspective of what is going on in the particular experiment. Then unrestricted and restricted free personal involvement in all steps of development. That is called as moral autonomy. Then whatever the outcome, you should be accountable for the results of the project. As an engineer, you should have the accountability. You should be in a position to answer the problem if anything arises in the future, because you are the responsible person. So accountability should be there. Then what is meant by conscientiousness? Conscientious moral commitment means being sensitive to full range of moral values and responsibilities relevant to the prevailing situation. So if anything unethically going on in the particular project, immediately you should know that it is unethical act. immediately your conscience should inform you it is a wrong thing, so we have to avoid that particular thing. That is called a conscientious moral commitment. The willingness to develop the skill and put efforts needed to reach the best balance possible among those considerations. So you have to develop the skill to solve any breach of code of conduct available. So based on your experience. In short, engineers must possess open eyes. Your eyes should be open, your ear should be open, and your mind should also be open. For that, we can say that it's a moral vision. When you have the open eye, we can say that moral vision. When you have the open ear, we can say that moral listening. When you have the open mind to analyze the facts, you are having the moral reasoning. So this makes the engineers as social experimenters. Then comprehensive perspective. Comprehensive perspective means relevant information. The engineer should grasp the context of his work and ensure that the work involved results in only moral end. So you should know the outcome of your project. So when you know what is going on in the particular project, you should know, so that you will know the end, whether the end is having the desired moral aspect. So one should not ignore his conscience. The product or project that is involved will result in damaging the nervous system of the people, even to the enemy. That is in case of weapons development, or a product has built-in obsolete or redundant component to boost sales with a false claim. In that case, your conscience should inform you it is an unethical act. You have to inform to the concerned people. Either it may be the organization, or it may be to the customer, or it may be to the government. In possessing the perspective of factual information, the engineer should exhibit moral concern and not agree for this design. Sometimes the guilt is transferred to the government or competitors. Some organizations think that they will let the government to find the fault and let the fraudulent competitor be caught first. Finally, a full-scale environment or social impact study of the product or project by individual engineers is useful but not possible in practice. Next one is moral autonomy. This is very important regarding the MCQ point of view. What is meant by moral autonomy? Viewing engineering as social experimentation and anticipating unknown consequences should promote an attitude of questioning about adequacy of existing economic and safety standards. So always you have to question the economic and safety standards of your engineering project. So this proves a greater sense of personal involvement in one's work. So moral autonomy is a philosophy which is self-governing or self-determining, that is acting independently without the influence or distortion of others. So you are going to make your own decision based on your experience, moral reasoning and moral concern. Based on your moral concern and moral reasoning, you are going to take the ethical decision, even though you are under pressure. Even though a lot of pressure may be applied onto you, you are going to take the ethical decision based on your experience. That is called as moral autonomy. So this is the highest standard of ethical practice. So moral autonomy will increase the self-determination. Then accountability. As an engineer, what is the term accountability, the capacity to understand and act on moral reasons. That is called as accountability. Whatever the thing you are doing, you should be in a position to take the responsibility. The capacity to understand and act on moral reasons is called as accountability. Willingness to submit one's actions to moral scrutiny. If any problem arises, you have to submit yourself for any scrutiny by the government or the particular organization, and be responsive to the assessment of others. It includes being answerable for meeting specific obligations, liability to justify or give reasonable excuses, actions or means or outcomes. Sometimes the outcomes may be unexpected. So whatever the reasons available, you have to clearly tell the inquiry people when required by the stakeholders or by the government. The tug of war between casual influence by the employer and the moral responsibility of the employee is quite common in profession. So employer will say something, your moral responsibility will be different. So sometimes there may be a conflict of interest in that case. Even in that case, you are accountable. So the responsibilities diffuse into various hierarchies and to various people. So nobody gets a real feel of personal responsibility. In engineering experiment, each and every component comes from the different department. So nobody have the particular feel of getting accountable, because each and every individual component we are getting from different number of departments and people. So always there will be unaccountability will be there in engineering experimentation. Often projects are executed one after another. An employee is more interested in adherence to the tight schedule. So engineers will be always, they will go by tight schedules rather than giving personal care for the current project. So if the project manager says within the stipulated period we have to complete, means only engineers will concentrate on completing the project, not on the quality of the project. So more litigation is to be faced by the engineers. So then codes of ethics. So Abbott codes of ethics, the fundamental principle says that the engineers uphold and advance the integrity, honor and the dignity of engineering profession by using their knowledge, skill for enhancement for their human welfare, being honest and impartial, serving fidelity the public, their employers and the client, striving to increase the competence and the prestige of engineering profession, supporting the professional and the technical societies for their disciplines. These are the Abbott Code of Ethics. These are the fundamentals, canons of the Code of Conduct. So engineers hold paramount safety, health and welfare of the public in the performance of their professional duties. So this first canon is very, very important regarding the MCQ point of view. Engineers shall perform services only in the areas of competence. Engineers issue public statement only in the objective and the truthful manner. Engineers shall act in professional matters for each employer or client as a faithful agents or trustees, and shall avoid conflict of interest. Engineers shall build their professional reputation on the merit of their services and shall not compete unfairly with others. Engineers shall act in such a manner as to uphold and enhance honor, integrity and dignity of the profession. So these are the various fundamental canons of an engineer. This is very, very important regarding the MCQ point of view. Then IEEE Codes of Ethics. So, as a member of IEEE, in recognition of the importance for our technologies in affecting the quality of life throughout the world, and in accepting a personal obligation to our profession, its members, and the communities we serve, do hereby commit ourselves to the highest ethical and professional conduct, and agree the following codes of conduct. So, to accept responsibility in making decision consistent with the safety, health, and welfare of the public. So, this is a very, very fundamental canon of the engineering ethics. To avoid real or perceived conflict of interest. Second important thing is we have to avoid the conflict of interest. To be honest and realistic in stating the claims. Whenever you are saying something, as an engineer, your statement should be very, very honest, and it should be realistic based on the data. To reject bribery in all forms. To improve understanding of the technology. That will avoid the potential consequences. So these are the various IEEE codes of ethics. This is also important regarding the examination points of view. Now, why we are forming the codes of ethics? Every individual having the moral values. So why you have to form the codes of ethics? The codes of ethics exhibits rights, duties, obligations of the members of a profession and a professional society. The codes of exhibit the following essential roles. The first important function of the codes of ethics is inspiration and guidance. So the codes of ethics will inspire the engineers how to behave, and it will provide the guiding path for the engineers. If you are doing wrong, violate any code of ethics, so it will guide you. If this is wrong one, you have to do it, you have to change that, you have to do it in a right way. So it gives the guidance and inspiration. Then it gives supports to the engineers. For example, when you take the decision based on the code of ethics, you are going to have the moral concern, whether it is right or wrong. You are going to have the moral concern and reasoning based on the how we are going to take the decision based on your moral reasoning. What is moral reasoning? Your reasoning, whether this particular decision is right or wrong, that will be based on the code of conduct. If there is any violation of code of conduct is there, using your moral reasoning, you are going to find out and you are going to take the decision. So, the code of conduct will support your decision. You can say that, confidently say that, and I have not violated any code of conduct. So, I took ethical decision. So, it will support you. Code of conduct will support the ethical decisions. Then deterrence. The code of conduct will act as a deterrence. So fear of punishment will be there if the violation of code of conduct. So as an engineer, the engineers will be deterred to doing any malfunction or any malice attitude or action. Then education and mutual understanding. Codes are used to prompt discussions and reflection on moral issues. So if suppose any moral problem is occurring or issue is rising between two individuals or in between two departments, so using the code of conduct, they can able to resolve those problems. Then create good public image. When people follow the code of conduct, the overall image of the particular company or a particular individual will be improving. Reputation will be increasing by among the public by the code of conduct. Protect the status quo. They create minimum level of ethical conduct. So below which one engineer cannot go. So it will maintain the minimum level or status quo of a code of conduct level for an engineer. Promotes business interests. The codes offer inspiration to the entrepreneurs, establish shared standards, healthy competition among the companies, maximize the profits to the investor, employees, and the consumers. So everybody will when everybody follows the code of conduct, then everybody can able to prosper. Then these are the limitations of code of conduct. Codes are generally it is vague in nature. It will not be very clear cut. They will be vague in nature. So vaguely they will say the statement. So people following cannot able to understand. Not applicable to all situations. The particular code of conduct will not be applicable to all the circumstances in which a problem is arising. So now, because of that, there will be moral dilemma or problems or issues will be rising because of the code of conduct. Often have internal conflict. Because of this, conflict will be available between the individuals or groups. Because if you follow one code of conduct, the other thing will be violated. So always there will be a problem. They cannot be treated as a final moral authority for professional conduct. So it is not the final code of conduct or moral authority. So everybody follow these instructions like that. It's not like that. So because generally it is a vague in nature, all the time you cannot follow those code of conduct. Because situation will be arising. In that particular situation, you cannot able to follow the code of conduct. Only few enroll as a members in the professional society, and non-members cannot be compelled. Even as members of the professional society, many are unaware of the codes. Different society have different codes. The codes cannot be uniform or the same. So they can make the excuses. Codes are said to be coercive. They are sometimes claimed to be threatenful and forceful. So always should accommodate all the people available in the particular domain, so that there will be a cooperation and a conducive atmosphere will be there. Otherwise, code will be always a threatening in nature or forceful in nature. A balanced outlook on law. What is meant by balanced outlook on law? In engineering practice, stresses and the necessities of laws and regulation. So every individual having the moral value and the moral concern. So in engineering practice, so everybody will not follow the moral value. So because of the competition between the different companies, they will behave in an unethical manner. So always we should have the code of conduct. So there should be a law to control the companies as well as individual working in the company. For that, there should be a balanced outlook on law. We cannot forcefully implement the laws, but there should be a balanced way. Every individual human being has moral value, ethical principle, but we have to ensure also through laws. That is called as a balanced outlook on law. For example, in ancient days, in around 1758, the Babylon Hammurabi Code of Conduct, in that if the building collapses, the particular engineer of the building, whatever the consequences of the building collapse, he has to bear. Suppose building collapse means he has to construct the particular building again. Based on the building collapse, if people living in the home are died, means the particular engineer's family will should be died. Like that, Hammurabi Code of Conduct is there. So, eye for eye to eye, for like that, the Code of Conduct was there. Then the Steamboat Code of Conduct laid down by the USA. Whenever there is a crisis, we claim that there should be a law to control this. For example, when children falling into the borewell, everybody will come forward, and 1 week they will talk about that, having the law. After that, they will forget. So whenever there is a fire accident in a factory or a firecracker storehouse, or boat capsize, we make this claim, and soon we forget. Laws are meant to be interpreted for minimal compliance. On the other hand, laws, when amended or updated continuously, would be counterproductive. Laws will always lag behind the technological development. The regulatory or inspection agents such as Environmental Authority of India can play a major role by framing the rules and enforcing the compliance. In the early 19th century, a law was passed in USA to provide for inspection of the safety of boilers and the engines in ships. It was amended many times. Now, standards formulated by the American Society of Mechanical Engineers are followed based on the steamboat accident that was occurred in USA. So there should be a role for laws. The rules which govern the engineering practice should be construed as a responsible experimentation rather than rules of the game. This makes the engineer responsible for the safe conduct of the experiment. Precise rules and sanctions suitable in case of ethical misconduct. So always there is a possibility. If anything goes wrong, means engineer will be punishable. If the building is damaged, the engineer is the signing authority for constructing the particular bridge should be responsible. So law will ensure the safety of the particular project or engineering experiment. So then industrial standards. For that we are having the Bureau of Indian Standard, which gives the specification which helps in achieving interchangeability. So standards are nothing but we can interchange the product to the different locations in the entire world. So Bureau of Indian Standard is we are going to follow. That is based on the international standards. So both will comply with each other. So the product we are manufacturing will have the Bureau of Indian Standard, even that will be applicable to the international level. So based on that, we are going. The standard means achieving interchangeability. So the product we are manufacturing here in India, the same product. The people living in the US can also use the same product because this standard is same. The specification or the functional requirement or the size and the shape and the material or the convention used to manufacture the product, everything, the features of the product are same because it is a standard. So we are having ISO 9000 2000 series standards we are having based on the product. For example, there are quality standard available, value appropriate to price, surface finish of a plate, life of a motor, that is relevant to the quality standard, or quality of service. For that we are having ISO, assurance of product to ISO procedures. So when you have the quality of service we are having, we are certifying the procedure. For example, ISO is available. When you have the ISO certification, the assurance of the procedures we are following the particular company is intact. It is high quality. So for procedures we are following in a company, we are having ISO. So example, quality of degrees according to the institution, by education institution. So nowadays education institutions are having ISO standard. The procedures followed in the institutions will be very good or quality. That is comes under the ISO. Then safety. Safety standard ensure safeguard against injury. For example, methods of waste disposal is available in safety standard. Then uniformity of physical properties and function. As I already told, always standards will be ensure interchangeability of the product or ease of assembly. We can assemble the different components of a particular product very easily if it is interchangeable. For example, standard bolts available. Those bolts will be applicable in different variety of components, nut and standard time. These are the industrial standards available. Then steamboat code in USA. So based on this, we are having some multiple choice questions here. Each engineering project is modified during execution is based on the periodical feedback on the progress or failure in the field, lessons from the outside sources. All these things will be applicable here. The development of the product or project may be considered as an experiment. Engineering product or project is considered as an experiment. The project is usually executed in partial ignorance. There may be unexpected output or with the full satisfaction. So we can say that the first one is partial ignorance. The project usually executed in partial ignorance. Behavior of materials purchased is uncertain and not constant. That is also true. They may vary with the suppliers. Why behavior of materials purchased is uncertain? The supplier may be varying. Process lot. The manufacturing process depends upon the day of manufacturing. The composition may be varying. So process lot will be different. That is based on the time, process used in shaping the material. So all of this, why we are including the time here, the temperature at which the product is manufactured will be differing. So it will affect the particular process. So all these things will be included. That will imposed on the uncertainty in the engineering project. Sometimes final outcome of the projects produce unintended results. It will have some side effects. Sometimes the side effect byproduct may be also be advantages. Unsafe operation. All these possibilities are there. Then similarities between engineering projects versus standard experiments. Partial ignorance, uncertainty, continuous monitoring, learning from the past. All these four things are similarities between engineering projects as well as standard experiments. Monitoring continually the progress and gaining new knowledge are needed in before the execution of project, after the execution of project, during the execution of project, even during use of the project. So monitoring is required in engineering project as well as experiment. Engineers normally learn from the past their own prior design. That is also correct. Infer from analysis of operation and results. So the we are going to analyze and identify the reasons. So we are going to get the output from the experiment. That is also there. Reports of other engineers. Other engineers also may be reporting. So in this situation we got the output. So all these things will be included. So all these A, B, C are correct. Major reasons for failure of project or the product is absence of interest of channels of communication, ego, not seeking the information, negligence, fear of legal action. All these reasons constitute the failure of the project. Contrast between engineering and projects and standard experiment. So experimental control, human touch, informed consent. All these things are there. Basic elements of informed consent. Knowledge, voluntariness. C is both A and B. So knowledge, you have to give the proper information about the experiment. The people come forward voluntarily. So both should be there. So C is the correct thing. Conditions to be fulfilled for valid consent. Consent must be voluntary. All relevant information shall be presented in the form. Consentor shall be capable of processing the information. If the consentor is child, you have to get the agreement, written agreement from the child or from the guardian. So with this, we have completed the third unit. Always go through the book for attending the multiple choice question. Be thorough with the 2 mark questions so that you can attend the MCQ questions very easily. Thank you, students.